What's going on, guys? It's Asif K17 here. So contrary to what I was saying before, this podcast is going to be a solo podcast, where I'm just going to sit down. We're going to get through some stuff. I'm going to discuss some wrestling. I'm going to discuss some other aspects of my YouTube channel, mainly in regards to the quality of the videos that I've been putting out, not in terms of the content in the videos, more the videos itself. That's not been great so far, so I'm going to try and work on that. So I'm going to try and give you better edited videos, basically. Because right now I'm just using the standard YouTube settings and editing tools that they give you, and I don't really think that's doing the business for me. So hopefully. I'm recording the audio for this podcast, and I'll probably overlay it with some images or visual tools or whatever, just to keep you guys from being bored or whatever. Unless you're watching this just for the sake of listening, so you just got it on as background noise or something. So let me just start off by saying that, well, my origins towards wrestling. So I started watching wrestling in 2007. Well, it might have been a bit before that. The earliest memory I've got of wrestling is Edge cashing in the Money in the Bank Championship. And I think that's around about when I was started. Because that's around about the same time that I got into Alter Bridge as well. If you didn't know, Alter Bridge is the band that does Edge's theme song. And from there we've just sort of, I've had a love and hate sort of relationship with wrestling. I think I started properly falling out with it right around the time when Edge left. Because since then they've been trying to get these new stars in, trying to force people upon us, but it's not working. Like Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, that's actually a good discussion point. Because I think Roman Reigns is immensely talented. Like, the man he has the look. I don't think there's anyone that can deny that. He has the look of an absolute superstar. He's very good in ring, contrary to what many people believe. He can actually go. Like, if you watch any of his matches with Big Show, for God's sakes. If you can drag a good match out of Big Show, then that means you're actually somewhat good in the ring. But he's had good matches with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles and Braun Strowman. Even his WrestleMania match with Brock Lesnar wasn't actually that bad up until the point where Seth Rollins had to come in and cash in. It was just the fans hated the fact that it was happening. So, Roman Reigns, the only real thing that's wrong with him is the fact that he's being given shit promos, which he's not even delivering in really good ways. If we're looking at the ad libs that he does, the facial expressions of Roman Reigns are a big, a really bad point for me, because, as someone who should have been this vicious, Samoan, this guy who's taking no prisoners, he's out for dominance. He's trying to prove his point. He's trying to prove that he's one of the best of all time, if not the best of all time. And it's just, he's not really been, his facial expressions in the ring and his facial expressions on the promos don't really match that. So, it's the silly, goofy expressions, the little the little facial cues that he has where he's making, really, really silly faces. For example, I think this was in the match against Daniel Bryan, or no, AJ Styles, where he delivered a sit-out powerbomb, and then he just did the hand sign for get the beers out, and he had his tongue out, and it was like, it's a serious match against possibly the best in-ring performer right now in the whole world, and you're gonna bust out those sort of chops to try and justify your point, and it just didn't work. So Roman Reigns' promos, his facial expressions, that's the biggest reason why I think he's not working, because people can't really take him seriously if he isn't taking himself seriously. And I'm saying a lot. I need to work on this quite a bit. But Roman Reigns is a fantastic performer. I think he has all the tools, and we're seeing that now. He's not had a match in a while, like a proper match, one on one. And that's again with the right? But that's going to feed into the Brock Lesnar storyline well. And that's the storyline which has got me most pumped for WrestleMania. Because it's sort of kayfabe done right. They got all the fans, the ones who actually like researched the thing. Not, I'm not saying some of the casual fans know this as well, and some of the casual fans hate Brock Lesnar anyway. But everyone sort of knows that Brock Lesnar hates people in general. Vince McMahon came out and said this on Raw this week, which I thought was a really good way to move the story along, like by highlighting how much Brock Lesnar doesn't like people, doesn't like the company itself. He's here not for the competition, as Vince said. He is there for the money. Because if the money wasn't right, why would he come? And Brock Lesnar, on his contract, he's got a very special contract. So he's actually got a set amount of dates that he has to work. He's actually run over those amount of dates. So that's probably why they're keeping him off Raw, is the fact that to get him back on would be way too expensive. And in the end, from a business perspective, if you're looking at it this way, not having something, but teasing that it will be there, and then that not showing up, actually leads more towards the hype of when it actually does show up. Which is why I think this angle is going really well. Because they're really playing off of that. Brock Lesnar doesn't want to show up. Brock Lesnar's taking pictures in Vegas with Dana White while the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is on. He's disrespecting people. He's not showing up to work. I mean, let's take that into perspective here. Roman Reigns said it best. If me or you didn't show up to work, we would at the very least be suspended, and at most would be fired. And that too without any sort of notice. If you're saying you're going to be there, here in the UK, in most of the places I've worked, if you're scheduled on a shift and you don't show up and you've given no sort of advance notice for it, it's a no-show. And over the course of that, you get a warning, and then if it happens again, you get a final written warning. And if it happens yet again, there's not even an appeal that you can do. You've been given 3 chances and you're fired. That's most places that work. Obviously, some places are going to be different. Brock Lesnar, I don't know what the situation is. I'm pretty sure they're purposefully keeping him off TV just to sort of build that storyline, which, as I said, is a very good idea because it's working and it's generating hype. But if that's what they're doing, then they run the risk of sort of showing the WWE Universe that they're willing to give out these big contracts with these select dates, with essentially giving full creative and attendance power to the superstars. But the ones that are there grinding their asses off day in, day out aren't being respected at all. Now, Roman Reigns works, I think, over 200 matches. That's including live events per year. Contrast that with Brock Lesnar, who probably makes about 30 to 40 appearances at live events and televised shows and pay-per-views per year. And it really puts into perspective how the WWE does actually rely on part-timers. Which, that brings me back to my first point about how they're not building new stars. Because if they're relying on these part-timers, then they're never going to get these new stars over. That's why Seth Rollins isn't over here. That's why Dean Ambrose never got over. Roman Reigns isn't over. AJ Styles, you could argue, but at the same time, AJ's, he's 42 years old, I think, right now. He's by no means a new age superstar. He is a veteran. Chris Jericho, he's 47, I think. Randy Orton's 37. Bobby Roode's 40. Shinsuke Nakamura's 37. Cena's 37 as well, I think. So I mean, these people, that's all the old guard, and by no means am I saying that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are young, because they're all in their mid-30s, or early 30s, late 20s. But you look at the crop, and you sort of think the reason the part-timers are there is because they failed to make the new stars, because they're not letting the new stars get over these part-timers. So where Roman Reigns was about to beat Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins came in. And as soon as Seth Rollins held that championship for a while, he faced Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar destroyed him, and then Brock Lesnar in a program with The Undertaker. Okay, fair enough. I'll buy into that. But then you move that forward into Dean Ambrose. And Dean Ambrose, if the backstage reports are true and he only really puts his full effort into programs that he's interested in, then that's fine. I can understand that when it comes to Brock Lesnar, because if Brock Lesnar's not going to put his full effort into the matches, which he rarely ever does, we can actually see evidence of that in the matches, then I can understand why Dean Ambrose was reluctant to actually put his effort in. So if you're going to have a no-holds-barred match and you're going to get all these gifts and gimmicks from past legends, like the baseball bat covered in barbed wire, like chainsaw, thumbtacks, chairs, everything's involved. If you're going to have all that in play, if you're going to tease all of that, and it comes to the event, and then the guy you're facing just goes, you know what, I don't want any of that, I just want to beat him. As a performer, how would that make you feel? That's where the laziness sort of needs to come into this. If people are going to say he's lazy, you need to look at it as, let's say you're at work, and let's say you're working at a restaurant. So the restaurant's about to open. You've got everything in your aisle set up, all your tables are ready, all of your menus, you're looking great, and you've got everything down to a T. And then your co-worker rocks up, and he's meant to be working with you, and he looks like he's a mess. He's when the shift starts, he's not doing jack shit. He's not actually doing anything. How is that going to make you feel? You're going to feel like, yeah, I'm doing my part of the job, but he's not doing his part of the job. So, as a tandem, your whole effort drops because one person's not pulling their own weight. That's what wrestling is. It's a two-man dance. It's always been a two-man dance. There's one performer and another performer. Even in multi-man or Royal Rumble matches, there's always a story between one performer and the other one. If one isn't pulling their weight in the storyline, how the fuck is the other guy supposed to even respond? You can try and elevate yourself as far as possible, but if you got an anchor weighing you down, you are just going to drown. And that's why I really didn't like people calling Dean Ambrose lazy, because I'm not going to say I'm smarter than everyone, because I know I'm not. But I mean, obviously, I've done some research, and I know Brock Lesnar, the way he works, because Brock Lesnar, he's a very picky and choosy guy. I'm not just saying this to hate on Brock Lesnar. I respect what he's done for the company, but at the same time, he is poisoning the industry. The man is not defending his championship. He's barely ever showing up. He's sort of holding back talent. That Universal Championship is meant to belong to the universe. That's why it was called the Universal Championship, because it was insinuated that it was the WWE Universe's champions that were going to hold it. We had Kevin Owens and Finn Balor. Great. Kevin Owens was a very, very good champion. This sort of heel champion, the one where they're, slimy and weaselly and doing anything they can to try and hold on to the championship. Those are my favorite kinds of champions, because those are the kind of guys that are putting their full, undiluted effort into keeping the championship. And that's how it should be. The championship should be something of prestige. It should be to the point where if you get it, you don't want to lose it. So you defend it, but by any means necessary. And that's why when Paul Heyman comes out, and I am never, ever going to say one bad thing about Paul Heyman in my life, unless it's about Paul Heyman's work with Brock Lesnar. Because Paul Heyman, I have the most immense amount of respect for, in every sense of the word. You know, what he did with ECW, what he did with WWE, what he's done in just for wrestling in general. He has one of the greatest business minds I think I've ever come across. And in a different time, in a different universe, if he had the same resources as Vincent Kennedy McMahon, we could be looking at a completely different WWE. And we could be mentioning Paul Heyman in the same billionaire breath as, you know, Vinnie Mac and Donald Trump and Bill Gates and the guy who owns Amazon, something like that. You know, because he would have built the empire. But when Paul Heyman comes out and announces Brock Lesnar as the reigning, defending champion, that doesn't sit well because he defends that title, what, about 8 times a year? Less, maybe. Because if you bring this back to around about this time last year when Naomi won the women's championship, she had to forfeit it because she couldn't do the 30-day compete clause for the championship. Which, by the way, is the most bullshit rule in WWE existence, because at the same time as that was happening, Chris Jericho hadn't defended his United States Championship for over 30 days. I don't think Goldberg defended a championship, and yeah, he didn't defend the championship until WrestleMania from Fastlane. That was over 30 days. Kevin Owens has probably gone over 30 days. And then we look at it now. Alexa Bliss has defended the championship from October the 31st to now twice. So in the space of almost 5 months, one of the marquee champions has defended their championship twice. I think Brock Lesnar may have done it the same amount of times. Which... No, he's done it once, actually, since October the 31st. Because Survivor Series was before that, and I don't think he defended it after that. Until Royal Rumble. Which sort of tells you everything you need to know about the championship pictures on Raw. Now, Charlotte actually hasn't defended her championship before Fastlane. For quite a while, if I'm sort of remembering correctly. The championship picture in WWE right now as a whole is I mean, it's horrendous. You've got champions that are claiming to be fighting champions, and when realistically the only one that actually is a fighting champion, or that are fighting champions, is... I mean, I'm thinking about it now. I don't think there is anyone. It kind of sucks. I mean, if you're going to let someone hold a championship, they need to defend it. That's just sort of an inescapable fact. So to have all these champions and to have them not defend is beyond the point. You know, it just doesn't make any sort of sense whatsoever. And it's not even like the WWE is treating these guys as champions. Or, you know, you look at someone like The Miz and he's being beaten and thrown about week in, week out by different sort of foes. The Usos, I mean, I love the Usos. I think they've done what The Rock did and what everyone wishes Roman Reigns would do in turning heel to save their careers. And by God, like, I don't know what they've done or what clicked inside their heads, but turning heel for them was an absolute, like, heroic move, because for some reason that heel turn has invoked some sort of passion into wrestling for these guys. And it's worked. You know, the promos, they come out and do the little segments, you know, where it's sort of like a rap and it's sort of like an insult, and you know, everything just sort of molds together well. Like, I'm not going to pretend to understand that sort of genre of music, because that's not my style. But seeing this kind of stuff where they're sort of going back and forth, and it actually does... They really play off that twin connection so well. You know, they've got this dynamic where they're finishing each other's sentence, where they're picking up where the other one's left off, and the promos are insane. Like, absolutely flipping insane. Like, I thought the New Day were the best tag team in the past, like, 5 years. And then the Usos came out with their heel turn, and I was like... well done. You know, they've done something insane. That they've actually like elevated themselves to another level. Like before, they were just good in ring workers, and they were Rikishi's sons. Now, you're looking at two guys who could legitimately be put up against any tag team in the world. You know, War Machine, the Young Bucks, the Hardy Boys, for God's sakes. And you could actually look at them in comparison. You could say, you know what? Yeah, these guys are a better tag team. And I think that just shows you how far they've come. But I mean, the Usos, they've not really defended their championships that much either. That being said, I am very much looking forward to the WrestleMania match between the Usos, the New Day, and the Bludgeon Brothers. Because the Bludgeon Brothers have been completely reinvented as well. I don't know where this sort of gimmick came from, because it does seem like it was inspired by a War Machine. You know, sort of badass sort of connection. And again, it's worked. You know, they have a new level of momentum that they never really had before. Like, as soon as they debuted with the Wyatt family, and you know, they were never going to get taken seriously, and that's the main reason for that was simply Bray Wyatt. You know, from the moment he came out, people were taking him as a joke. The promos made no sense. The act really wore thin quite fast. And on the first night he came out, people were chanting Husky Harris at him. They've not forgotten his previous gimmick. And I don't think they can get on board with this new one. And that's the reason I don't like Bray Wyatt's character either. It's just because, you know, you got someone that you wanted to build as new Undertaker, the new sort of phenom, this mystical character that was going to conquer everything and beat everyone and form alliances and become like a cult leader or something like that, and you have him lose like all the time. And I can understand losing like small matches, like if you lost to, I don't know, Kurt Hawkins on an episode of Raw via roll up, that's fine to an extent, obviously. But then losing the big matches, like you had this massive build at WrestleMania, you know, this huge build, and you had him going up against John Cena. You had all these mind games going on, and that was a really, really solidly built feud. And it got to WrestleMania, and he lost. And I didn't like that, because obviously, I don't know if Bray Wyatt should have won that feud, but he just sort of got fucked over. And I don't know if Cena was the best opponent for him anyway. And, you know, then I think it was about 6 months down the line, they had John Cena, after being fucking abused, essentially, by Brock Lesnar the night before at SummerSlam. He came out and he, like, single-handedly took him apart. And then it was sort of like, that credibility for Bray Wyatt died at WrestleMania. You know, giving him the WWE Championship, giving him the Tag Team Championships, allying him with Randy Orton, the feud with Daniel Bryan. You can do anything you can to try and rescue that character, but he's dead. He's long dead. And there's really nothing you can do at this point to try and bring him back. That's why no one's invested in this feud with Matt Hardy. As much as we wanted to see that broken gimmick, the fact that it took so long to get there, the fact that it's kind of shit right now in WWE. You know, it just seems like a watered down version of what we had in TNA or Impact Wrestling or Anthem or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves now. But that sort of thing it's really hard to replicate, especially when the guy who was doing it hasn't done it for almost a year, and then suddenly it just comes out of nowhere. And it's not what you remember it, but it is what you remember it. You know, it's sort of like a really warped version. And that's the reason no one's interested in it, because A, no one cares about Bray Wyatt. No one. You know, even though he won the championship last year, and then he was literally placeholder for Randy Orton to do it at WrestleMania, he's not had a memorable program. You know, he had this massive sort of feud going with Finn Balor that everyone thought was going to rejuvenate him, and then, oh, he got injured. and WWE just forgot the angle was a thing. You know, this Sister Abigail nonsense. Like, just bring out Sister Abigail as someone like Paige. You know, someone that the fans like know, someone that they can buy into. Just something that we can actually relate to. Don't have it teased as like a transgender Bray Wyatt thing. Like, I mean, in before I get someone in the comments saying that, what have you got against transgenders? I've got nothing against that. If that's what makes you happy, go ahead. But at the same time, you've been teasing this character for almost 5 years, and it's been teased as this supernatural entity that's actually a sister. Maybe it's a ghost, maybe it's something ethereal, something, a poltergeist, something like that. But then it comes down to it, and it's Bray Wyatt in a veil. And you're just there thinking, like, what? Why? What exactly is the point of this? And that, it's just every sort of time WWE gets you excited for an angle. Every time WWE decides that we're going to invest people into this, invest time and money into this sort of thing, and we're going to make people interested in this, regardless of how much time or money it takes to actually get people behind this sort of thing. Every time that happens, they always blow it. So, the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns thing right now, they're doing the right thing by building that as the workhorse versus the guy who's being handed everything, really. They're doing a really good job with that. But then at the same time, you have to think, how long can you stay hopeful that it will be good? And the answer is, knowing WWE, not long. These are the guys that passed up on having a feud with Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar, and having Braun Strowman actually take the championship rather than, Brock Lesnar holding on to it for an age. I also just want to mention that Royal Rumble spot where Brock Lesnar actually punched Braun Strowman. I mean, can we actually condone that realistically? Like, that sort of thing's not right, If someone does seem to be getting out of hand with their punches, or actually going quite hard into the attacks and everything, then are you really in any place to take it upon your own self to then, punch this guy in the fucking face knowing that you're a full-on MMA fighter? No, you're not. I think you can actually garner from this video one thing, and that's that I really, really don't like Brock Lesnar. I really don't. I mean, that's besides the point, though. So, that sort of thing. It's just every sort of time you get hyped for a feud, especially when it concerns one of these beloved WWE guys, it's just sort of, you need to take it with a pinch of salt, because at the end of the day, there is every chance that you will get disappointed. And I don't like saying, I don't like being the one that says that. But we all know it's coming. So yeah. So anyway, moving on from WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's actually, I'm slowly starting to watch New Japan a lot more now that I'm, for want of a better word, I'm falling out with WWE. So I'm really starting to look forward to watching New Japan, getting into the programs. I've sort of been watching it on and off since AJ Styles vs Nakamura, because that's sort of when I started to explore other companies. And obviously now that it's actually a good alternative, I'm actually really interested in the product. And they've got some really good storylines. I like this Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes thing. That's actually something I'm looking forward to actually getting some sort of conclusion to. And that's good storytelling. You got leader versus upstart. And the stablemates have lined up with the upstart because he's actually got a really cunning master plan that has actually worked. And I want to start watching Lucha Underground as well because everyone's telling me that Lucha Underground is looking incredible, and I might just give it a go. So let's see where that goes. And obviously the video yesterday, I think it was yesterday that I uploaded it. The Bleach Brave Souls one. I quit that game. I did quit that game because I was just sort of I was done with it, man. You put so much time and effort into something and you don't get it, and it just comes out of nowhere. Like I should have been happy, I know, but then it just felt so disheartening that I'd put so much effort and grind, and the amount of grind I did for that game. Like I wasted so much time, and I just got nothing out of it. And it didn't make me quite happy. So that was that. So I mean, I do play other games as well. So obviously, if I think there's a market for that, if I think there's people that want to watch that, then I'll put that out. Like I play WWE Supercard right now, and I'm in a very good team. So like we're fairly casual in the sense that we play the game well every day just to get the rewards and stuff. But whenever there's a good event, and we just sort of do a team battleground, or if the team event has good cards, then we'll all do that as well. So WWE Supercard, I play FIFA Mobile as well, but I don't know how much of a market it would be for that because A, I'm not good at the game, and B, I'm not a play to win kind of guy, a pay to win kind of guy. So the content you're gonna get from me on FIFA Mobile is gonna be the exact same content you'd get from one of these big FIFA YouTubers like Joe Bellin or Tobias or Bateson that have these either pay to win accounts, or some of them have free to play accounts as well where they're doing the progress, and they're miles ahead of where I am as a free to play kind of guy. I tell you what I have started playing recently is The Sims because they've released a new version on mobile, and I'm quite enjoying that. Obviously, The Sims is something I grew up with as a kid, and that's definitely something that stuck quite a chord, and it's something that anytime I can sort of get a new chance to play it, I kind of will. And if you haven't checked it out, obviously I'm not sponsored. I've got like 10 subscribers, and my average view count is like 10 per video. So I'm not being sponsored for this, but I'm just like as a fan of Sims, you should probably check it out. It takes a bit of getting your head around, but it's good. I play Fortnite on the PlayStation and on PC, but I'm I'm shit at Fortnite. So like I'll get like 1 2 kills a game, but then I'm crap at building. I'm crap at switching weapons. So like I'll shoot someone with a shotgun and take me like 5 years to switch to an assault rifle, even though it's next to it. By that time, I'll be dead. I can't build for the life of me. Like the one time I actually built a base was right below a fucking mountain, and someone just dropped a grenade in, and yeah, that was that. So I mean, I could put. I'm open to putting any content out there. I mean, this podcast is sort of a way for me to get my views out there. I mean, I like to talk. I think there's a lot of people that can say that, but I like to talk. I can just sit down and talk for hours and hours about absolute bullshit. This was sort of because of what happened to me. I'll disclose this as well. I went to hospital with a kidney problem. Like I won't disclose my exact age. I don't know if Google has that, but I won't disclose my exact age, and I'll just say I'm fairly young, right? So for me to have kidney stones at my age is sort of a wake up call because I need to actually like, make some lifestyle changes and diet changes and whatnot. So I had kidney stones, and obviously that pain was there for about 3 weeks, and it was just sort of it was stuck at some point, so it was moving, and that sort of pain, and after like 3 weeks of just fucking agony, it's passing and the pain was there anyway, so I had to go back to the hospital and get it checked and everything like that. So that was a very trying period of my life, shall we say, because obviously that sort of pain, when it just sort of thrust upon you, you don't really, especially when you're at my age, you don't think that that sort of thing can happen to you because you tend to associate kidney stones with middle-aged people who have really poor diets, or something like that. So the fact that I got it was just sort of, it really woke me up. So obviously I've started to drink a lot more water because I think the last day, the day before it passed, I was trying to get it out because it was. I won't go into like graphic detail, but let's just say it was stuck. And so I drank about 4 liters of water in the space of 15 minutes, and then I just went to the bathroom and I was like, "Fuck, get the fuck out of here now!" And it dropped out, and that's the, you hear if you know anything about kidney stones, you know about people that have had it. Then, this is an overused phrase, but trust me when I say this: when you pass a fucking kidney stone, that relief is on another level because oh my god, that pain is over. So yeah, I'm drinking a lot more water. I'm trying to exercise a bit more in the sense that I'm actually trying to get out of the house and walk about a bit. I don't believe in the gym. I really don't. So if I'm gonna actually exercise, it's gonna be I've got a few parks near me, so I'll just go in there in the morning and just have a jog or just walk even. Getting out of the house full stop is enough. And then just little stuff like that. Like I didn't mean to do a podcast after the Royal Rumble. And like I said, obviously I was in the hospital, so I didn't even watch the Royal Rumble live, and that was obvious. That was a bit. I was kind of upset because the Rumble, the I was about to say the Rumble was great, but the two Rumble matches were very good, and the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship match, sorry, that was pretty good as well. Um, just because it was just sort of like a fucking wreck, everything just sort of felt like it was being thrown together, and I like clusterfucks like that, it's just part of being a wrestling fan. That sort of unpredictability. You don't know what's going on, and what's not going on. But obviously, because that happened, I wasn't able to do the podcast initially. Most of the plans for my videos just sort of went, and then being fully honest, I just sort of took a back seat to YouTube. Especially with all the announcements of how YouTube ad revenue and stuff was changing. Like I'm, you know, I'm still studying, and I want to get to the point where I can sort of have a career. Now, whether that could be YouTube or whether that's the actual career I'm trying to pursue, um, I'll take either one. But then obviously all the changes that YouTube made to how smaller YouTubers would gain revenue, that was, I sort of took a look at that and I was like, is this sort of what I want to do? Because I can put in the grind, but then it would require me to actually put in the fucking grind. So now you need, I think it's 1,000 subscribers and 400 hours of concurrent monthly views or something like that. Before you can get monetized. And I think they're changing that more as well, because I heard something about like the top 25% of YouTubers are only going to get their adverts on or something like that. And I don't just want to have these podcasts talking about wrestling. If possible, I want to have separate podcasts talking about like one where I discuss wrestling in general and one where I discuss the news, the drama, shall we say. So stuff like Logan Paul. I hate Logan Paul. I've made my feelings about Logan Paul clear on many an occasion because I think he's a despicable human. No, he's a despicable actor, right? I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of being a human being because you come back from a suicide forest where you made a huge mistake. What's the first thing you do? Oh, that's right, tase a fucking dead animal. great. And then, it's just, he is YouTube's golden boy. Him and his brother. And I don't think there's any way we can get past that. Because at the end of the day, if someone's making you money, whether that's through controversy, whether that's through actual, like, being good, someone like David Dobrik, for example, who I think is one of the best people on YouTube. If someone's making you money, why would you want to get rid of them? And that's the approach with YouTube, because no matter how much negative press they get, no matter how much hate they get for their approach with Logan Paul, at the end of the day, it's attention. He is generating attention, him and his brother. So why on earth would they get rid of him? And moreover, this event with KSI, it looks like it's going forward, this boxing match. And I'll be surprised. I was surprised. I was very, very surprised with with actually the caliber of boxing we saw from KSI and Joe Weller. I thought the actual, not the undercard so much, but the actual main event, they actually had some solid boxing on display. Like KSI at times, I was sort of screaming on TV, like, get your guard up, watch your body. But he didn't get touched. If you look at KSI and you look at Joe Weller, KSI may have had some body shots that came in, but he really didn't take any damage. Whereas Joe Weller completely got, like, destroyed. So, if this fight goes forward, it is going to be the biggest event in YouTube history, because you're going to get many people watching it live. You're going to get many people coming to the arena. They haven't even decided the arena yet. I think they're going to go, like, huge, because KSI said it was going to be in the UK. So I'm thinking they book something like Wembley. Because the amount of revenue that they're going to make off that, from streaming the event, from tickets, maybe they make it box office for flip's sake. That could be a thing. But the amount of money that's going to generate is going to be flipping up there. It's not quite going to be Mayweather McGregor, but it's going to be huge. And I don't even want to discuss Jake Paul. That guy is fucking filth. So let's just leave that where it is. My audience isn't really big right now. I don't know how many people are going to watch this, how many people are going to get to this portion of the video, but I'm part of an e-federation in WWE 2K18, and quite regularly we film promos, where we've adopted characters and stuff like that. So that could be something I could upload as well, like a compilation of promos, or just the promos when they go up individually, because I think it'd be quite fun if we sort of made a YouTube career out of that, or just a series even of this character, I guess, because me and my partner, we're in a tag team, and we hold tag team championships across 2 different divisions. And I've been the heavyweight champion twice as well, which is, I'm fairly successful in the EFED. So that could be something I could do as well, because the EFED's run by Nathan Place 13, whose channel I'm going to link in the description. He's got a bigger audience than I have, so there might not be much of a crossover. So if you want to go check him out, like, he's a class YouTuber. He's very good. He's going through a fairly hard time as well with his dad. The guy he's a stand-up guy though. So if you could just pop over there and give him some sort of support, then that'd be great. But having not really planned much of the conversation I was going to do here. Didn't really have many topics to do. I just sort of sat down, start recording, and just doing this on the fly pretty much. But I managed to get 45 minutes worth of talking out of it, and that further emphasised my point. I like to talk. I've got the sort of gift of the gab, I guess. So I think I'm going to sign off here. Next time we do a podcast, I'm going to bring someone on. Oh, I'm probably going to bring someone on if the schedule works out right. And we're going to discuss, like, tons of shit, Next time there's going to be a good format. There's going to be actual, like, there's not going to be a script, but there's going to be topics we're going to talk about at different times. So this is just all been sort of a clusterfuck of just me talking random bullshit to a microphone. And you know, if you've made it this far, then you're a fucking legend, really. So if you've got to this point, thank you for watching or listening or whatever you're doing with this video. Thank you for just being around. Thank you for listening to an idiot just sort of rage, rant and rage about what's going on. And once again, it's been Asif K17 here, and I will see you in the next video.